Okay, translators. So this is Mr. Amezawa's talk, and Mr. Amezawa gets on the bus on Wednesday morning en route to the Toyota Techno Museum. That's only about a 5 minute ride from the time we get off the Shinkansen. We get on the bus and then we ride to the Toyota Museum, the birthplace of Toyota. I want Mr. Amezawa to introduce himself to the team at that time so you know who he is. A lot of times in the past, we have not done that. We've told you, oh, Mr. Amezawa, former vice president of Lexus, president of Toyota in the United States, Georgetown, Kentucky plant, but people don't really know who he is. So we changed that up, and now we have him introduce himself to the team because he's going to be with us for the 3 days. And he's going to be with us as we go through the Techno Museum. So you need to know who he is so that you can engage him and ask him questions because he's an amazing man. So he's going to do a quick little 5 minute talk en route to the Toyota Techno Museum. And I'm going to give you his introduction so you're aware of what he's going to say. He's going to say, hello, my name is Matt Amezawa. Amezawa. And this is my history at Toyota. This is me, a young high school boy. And then this is me in college. I was kind of, crazy guy. And then in 1984, as a paint shop manager. And then in 2000, at 58 years old, I became the CEO of Georgetown, Kentucky in the United States. He's 82 years old. He's amazing. He'll be standing up probably when he does this. And then his next slide will go, my history at Toyota. I met these cool people, and it's a picture of you guys. It's kind of a fun little thing for you to laugh and chuckle a little bit. And then he goes, my father. My father was a very smart guy, very, very smart guy, very clever guy. He worked for Yokohama Tire as a mechanical engineer, and he spoke English very well. This is my dad, Yokohama Tire. And my dad was the first one to go to university and leave the village and leave the farm and get a degree. And he spoke very good English. First one to leave the village. So that's just generally what he's going to talk about. And then he goes, my first job at Toyota was to find a beautiful wife. And everybody laughs. It's very funny because, he's a very serious guy and he's actually a jokester, but, here he is finding a wife at Toyota. And he goes, and I had to have a good process. So I made a map of where all the beautiful women were around the entire plant. And I found it. Success. I found my wife, and this is my wife and my daughter. I live with my daughter now. My wife died about 3 or 4 years ago. It's kind of a sad thing, but she died of cancer. So my wife's sister's husband was Watanabe. He was the former president of Toyota. So he's definitely very well connected in the Toyota world. And then he goes over this in 1942. He was born during World War II, and he graduated as a quality engineer. He became a general manager of the plastics plant, and then assembly and engineering, then vice president of Georgetown, Kentucky, and then president of Georgetown, Kentucky, and then chairman, and then vice president of Lexus Kishu. So he just kind of goes over this real quick. And so that's basically his intro. And by that time, we've arrived at the Georgetown plant. Now, what I normally do, but I did that with you today, I was able to tell you the history of Sakichi Toyota, who basically started Toyota, but I'll do it for you right now, just in case I recap that. So Sakichi Toyota was, a son of a poor carpenter in a little village about 2 hours east of Nagoya. And he was a curious boy, very studious, and he saw his mother struggling, trying to make a few extra pennies for the family, and she had to pass this shuttle back and forth. It was very difficult work. He was flying his kite one day, and he felt the tug on the string, and he said, man, if I attached a string to the loom for my mother, I might be able to make it so she could just step on these pedals, and that would allow it to pass the shuttle from one side to the other. And indeed, his first Kaizen worked. He then got a lot of confidence. He went to the industrial exhibition in in Tokyo, and he saw how behind the Japanese were compared to the rest of the industrialized world, the United States and Great Britain. He felt bad for his country, and he wanted to become a great inventor to help his his society, his culture, and his country. And so he set out to become a great inventor. Indeed, he became one of the greatest inventors in the history of the world, actually. Definitely the best in Japan. And he was just a poor village boy, and he thought the greatest thing he could do was to help his society and his culture. And then Mr. Amezawa will pick his talk back up, and he'll talk about the men who built Toyota. And we have Sakichi Toyota, then Kichiro, his son, then Taichi Ono, then AJ Toyota. And then he goes through all these different guys. He'll talk a little bit about them. And then he will go on to how long it took Toyota to develop the Toyota production system. So the loom, the automatic loom that Sakichi developed was in 1926. And then the motor company started in 1937, right as the war began. And then Ono comes on in 1948 after the war and starts developing the Toyota production system. But by the time they got to single minute exchange of die, which is down in 1971, it took them 34 years. So from the very beginning to 1970, it was a 44-year journey. So it's a very long time. It took Toyota a long time to put all this together. This was a long haul. And Sakichi Toyota and Kichiro. So Sakichi's idea was Jidoka. It means automation with the human touch. It means the machine has the ability to detect when there's a defect and stop, so no defect is ever produced. Kichiro's idea was just in time, everything based on the pull system. So he saw what Ford was doing, and then he wanted to develop the just-in-time system. So two different concepts, and then all this Toyota production system was based on the standardization of work. So you couldn't do any of these things unless work was stable. And you stabilize work through standardized work, and then good relationships with the team members, with the unions and everybody they worked with. This is the house, the Toyota house, how it was built. And Jidoka, and this is Sakichi's loom, he had one little string passed to this piece of metal, and if one thread broke, it stopped the whole machine. Just like that. One thread broke. This was Sakichi's idea. Okay, and so he's explained to you how it works here. There's a little thread through that piece of metal. The thread breaks, it drops down, and stops the machine from running. And you're going to see this when we go to the loom factory. Okay, so why Kichiro proposed just in time? Well, Toyota was a poor company. We talked about that. Increase sales to working capital ratio and minimize inventory and lead time. But Ono had a whole different idea why he liked just in time. The problem appears even if it's small. So he wanted to lower the water level to expose problems. Trouble causes a production line stop. And so he wanted to stop the line because he wanted to fix the problems, force the team to fix the problems immediately. So Mr. Amezawa then goes on to say he knew Ono. Ono was very tough on managers. He thought managers, really needed to work hard to earn their salary because they weren't Gemba people. They weren't the people making the money. So he was very tough on the managers. Said, always get out onto the Gemba. Do not sit around in your office. And this was the problem in 1940 that Toyota was facing. They had overproduced too many crankshafts, too many brake cylinders, and they didn't have any money. They were broke. And this is the evolution. So in 1960, as they were developing the Toyota production system, they carried stock of 15 days. And by 2005, they got that stock down to 11 hours. And then the die changes took 4 hours, and they got them down to 3 to 5 minutes. The lot sizes, they had a week's worth of lot size, and they got it down to 4 to 16 hours. So these are amazing numbers. And then Taichi Ono's 10 precepts. These are super important. He'll go over every one of them. First one is, Paul, your cost. If you're a manager, a leader, your cost. You aren't making the money. You aren't making the company any money. So you need to really aggressively reduce waste and do Kaizen. Number 2, first say, I can do it, and try anything. So this is that attitude. Don't say no, just try it. Number 3, workplace is a teacher. You find the answers only in the workplace. So basically, the answers are on the Gemba, not in your office, not in a spreadsheet, not on a computer screen. They're on the Gemba. 4, do anything immediately. Start something right now is the only way to win. So Ono said, just try something. Don't talk about it, just try it. And then once you start something, number 5, preserve it. Do not give up until you finish it. So run the test. If it fails, keep going until you come up with the solution. 6, explain difficult things in easy to understand manners. Repeat things that are easy to understand. You see me doing that on the trip all the time. What is Japan doing? They're training. What is Japan all about? Training. What is Toyota doing? Eliminating defects, stabilized work, standard work. So this is Ono's ideas, is to make things really easy to understand. Number 8, valueless motion are equal to shortening one's life. I mean, if you're walking around and you're wasting time, you're basically wasting your life. You only have so many days, and you're wasting your life walking around with motion that doesn't produce anything. 9, re-improve what was improved for further improvement. So in other words, just continually improve things. Never stop. You make an improvement, good. Now improve it again. Reduce more waste. And 10 is my favorite one. Wisdom is given equally to everyone. The point is whether you can exercise it. So what that simply means is this, that every day you are given experiences. And from those experiences, you have the opportunity to learn and gain wisdom and insight on how to better conduct your life. Everybody's given these experiences. The problem is most people never learn from them. So wisdom is given equally to everybody. The point is whether you can exercise the wisdom, use the wisdom. Okay? And then this was a powerful thing that Amezawa, or that Ono told Mr. Amezawa, and that is the supplier is not buying your product. They are buying your process. And this is a very big deal to understand. So when Toyota buys something from someone, they're not buying that bracket. They're buying the fact that they can make that bracket defect-free all the time, and they are reliable. They are buying actually your process. Very deep, powerful concept. And Ono, Ono was very tough on the managers. So whenever Ono came around, they always looked out and they were looking for him. They said, "Oh no!" They were kind of code. Ono's in the plant. Watch out. And then Mr. Amezawa's conditions for termination: if you lie, or if you look down on the Gemba people. And if you did that, Mr. Amezawa always kept a Pizza Hut flyer and said, "They're hiring at Pizza Hut. Go get a new job." Another condition for termination is if you manipulate the number. So a lot of very common things for leaders to do is they manipulate the numbers to make things look better than they actually are. And that's lying, and that's grounds for termination. Taichi Ono's additional precepts are: do not say, "Oh, is it so?" So somebody tells you information, "Oh, is that so?" No. You go and see. Don't see by eye, see by foot. Go with your feet and see the problem. Don't ask humans, ask things. In other words, don't trust what humans are saying. You go look at the things and see for yourself. And then the other one was Ono's circle. Write a circle on the floor with chalk and ask the manager to stand there and watch the process and really understand what's going on. They call it the Ono circle. There are a lot of problems on the floor. Managers must appear on the floor and find a problem. So your whole job as a leader is to go look for problems and solve them. And number 6, think with your head. The idea here is just think deeply. We don't really think deeply about what's going on. And Toyota's past failures is they focused on results, production volume, productivity, instead of focusing on improving processes. Another failure was strong arm tactic. They would, hire a bunch of people and order 1 second reduction in tack time and reduce head count forcibly. These are things that Toyota did in the past that were not good. And poor communication and poor coordination. True story, Toyota hired 200 people and lost 100 people in 1 year. So not good. And then he talks about going to Fukuoka, from Fukuoka, actually in Georgetown, to becoming the president of Georgetown, Kentucky. So there he was at 58 years old, becoming the president of the most important plant in Toyota. So first thing he did when he got to Toyota, he said to everybody it was in very bad condition. They had a lot of problems, actually. He said, make your job easier, make your process better. Remember, very simple. This is known as principles. Repeat difficult things in easy ways over and over again. And at Christmas time, he shook the hands of 8,000 people and gave a candy cane to every one of them. It was very personal. 2 people said, no, I wouldn't shake your hand. But later they came back and said they apologized. And step counter, he says 30,000 steps a day he walked the plant. He was always walking this plant. It was massive, getting to know what the real problems were and helping people. And then he talks about the Toyota Way 2001. These were the ways that they communicated to the Americans what Toyota was really doing. So it was a challenge culture. It was a Kaizen culture. It was a Gichi Gambutsu, which means get your boots on and go and see. Go to the Gemba. It was a respect culture, and it was a teamwork culture. These were the 5 characteristics that Toyota explained to the Americans on really what Toyota was trying to do. And Georgetown, Kentucky makes 500,000 cars a year and 600,000 engines. This is the most important plant for Toyota. And Georgetown is located on 1,300 acres. It has approximately 10,000 team members. And then he shows some small Kaizens. This is a training video for Toyota to show people, showing the ways. Only value added is right there when the cap goes on. Non-value, 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 non-value. Okay, so now they says, oh, they put it close together. Non-value, non-value, value, non-value, non-value. So reduce the non-value by a lot just by positioning the items closer to where the work is. And then he shows some of these different Kaizen. This is the middle Kaizen. So look at how cool this is. This guy sits on the seat, gets him inside, super comfortable. Non-value, non-value, value, non-value. Look at all the non-value, 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 non-value. You're not change anything. Not until the screw goes in is your value, value, non-value, non-value, value, non-value, non-value, value, non-value, non-value, value, non-value, value, non-value, non-value, value, well, non-value, 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 value, non-value, 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 value, non-value, value, non-value, 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 value, 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 non-value, 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 non-value. Most of what Toyota does is non-value. 90% of what Toyota does is non-value, and they're the most efficient company in the world, but yet most of what they do is non-value. And this video demonstrates how this little chair increased the value-add activity, but still most of what they did was non-value. So there you go. And he's going to go over a lot more, but this will give you a little bit of an introduction to what Mr. Amezawa is going to be talking about.